Welcome into the official Jets podcast.
I eat, breathe, and sleep the New York Jets, my team.
He knows what it means to wear the green and white.
That is a tightrope walk across Niagara Falls. That's hard to do.
The official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Shop game day ready jewelry styles and so much more at kendrascott.com.
All right, we're joined by our least favorite Sims. That is Chris.
I love it. Yes. Way to go.
Great to see you, brother. Speaking of brothers, how's Matt doing?
He's doing great. He's doing good. Matt is he's in the, kids are young, so he's dealing with that. He's got a whole. I mean, my brother. I think he could be a phenomenal coach, right? To me, that's what he is. Yeah. And he's got all these kids, high school, grade school, that work with him, and they go and learn how to throw the football from him mainly, and my dad's there a little bit too. But he's awesome, and he's awesome at that. He really is. I always thought Matt would end up being a coach in the NFL.
Really? Oh, really?
Right. And I think he's kind of doing both and figuring out his either way, but he's going to be good at whatever he does, whether he talks to you idiots or not.
Listen, awesome analyst and a good friend. I'll tell you, one Jet in my 24 years here, I started with the team in 2001, has purchased me a pair of Air Jordans.
Wow.
And that was your brother.
Is that right?
I actually got that from his Nike stipend. But that was
really. That's a nice thing to get.
That's a pretty sweet gesture.
That is.
Did you take care of guys back in the day?
Oh, I definitely took care of guys. I did. And I had a pretty big Nike contract at one point when I was starting down there in Tampa Bay. Yeah. But you got to take care of the guys in the organization. Yeah. It's not always the job of the third string or practice squad quarterback to do that, right? Because they're usually not exactly swimming in the money and all that. But I always made an effort. The tape guys, right, the film room guys, the training staff, the weight room guys, that I was going to try to do, extra stuff to try to help them and make life a little easier because they work so hard.
All right, let's talk about the Jets, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's standing out about them this offseason right now?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of that group up in Detroit.
Yep.
I am. Man, I'm a big fan of Aaron Glenn. So, the first thing and when you talk about strong personalities that can come to a team and change the personality, the culture, whatever you want to say, right, that to me is what I like. So, yeah, from that standpoint, it's going to be done the way he wants it to be done, and that's the Dan Campbell way and the Bill Parcells and Sean Payton way. That's what I like about it.
Your dad played for Parcells. Do you see some of Parcells? Do you see that influence in AG?
I do. I see that from all those guys there, right? I think it's not about, this is what we do on defense, and I only do that. It's like, wait, who are we playing this week? Oh, this week we have to do this. Oh, who are we playing next week? Well, this week now we have to do that. We got to change it. We're going to do whatever we got to do this week to win the game. We're not going to be like, this is what we play. We play Seattle scheme, and we're just going to do that all the time, right? I like that aspect. I like game plan specific. So, yeah, I'm a fan of that. Also, I think what I see with him is his ability, like a Parcells or a Sean Payton, to relate to players, can be their buddy, but also can be the jerk and let you know a little bit like, hey, I like you, but that what you did yesterday in practice, that stunk. What the hell were you doing? It better be better. And to me, that's what I found from Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, or him. They kind of have that magic touch that way.
Tanner Angstrom.
Yeah.
First-time signal caller, passing game coordinator with Detroit. What did you see from the Lions offense?
I know.
And our personnel is different.
Yeah,
and
right.
also, what's your anticipation now as a guy who played the position, who's an analyst in the National Football League? How is he going to call plays?
That's the $1 million question, right? I don't know him that well. I don't know. All I know is that he comes from a guy in Ben Johnson that I would go is the best offensive coordinator about to be head coach candidate to me since Shanahan and McVay. Wow. That's a high regard I put Ben Johnson in. Ben Johnson with me was no doubt one of the 4 or 5 best offensive minds in football for like the last 3 years. When I watch film of him, a little bit what I said with Aaron Glenn, hey, it's one week, it's this. The next week, it's a different plan of attack. He knows how to set up plays, right? He knows how to dangle this. Hey, look, we did this. Hey, look, it's coming again. Oh, here's a curveball off of it. You're screwed, right? So he understands that. And then I think, too, what I'm hoping is understood here is you understand defenses. Ben Johnson, like a Shanahan or a Mike McDaniel, they know how to expose rules of defenses. They don't just go, hey, we're going to run these plays and we're going to just be really detailed and execute them the right way. They know how to go, wait, we're going to run this play because they run this coverage a lot, and if we do this little combination, this guy right here is screwed. He can't be right? And that's what I find great about their offense, and hopefully he can bring that to the Jets.
So we'll work our way up to the quarterback position, but when you see what the Jets have in offensive backfield with Breece Hall, they drafted a pair of running backs last year in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. You also have a guy on the outside who has done some historic things in his first 3 seasons of Garrett Wilson, north of 80 receptions and 1,000 yards of each of his first 3 campaigns, and only 5 receivers have done that in NFL history. So what do you anticipate this offense being?
I think it's going to look very similar to Detroit.
Yeah.
And I think with Aaron Glenn as a defensive head coach, usually their belief a little bit is run the ball too. Control the clock, let my defense rest a little bit, right? So I think there's going to be true dedication to the run game. And that's what I like too. Like you talked about, you got good running backs.
Yep.
You had a lot of plays last year where I had to go, wait, you're running the ball good. Hey, you're kind of, we're throwing it out here for a 1-yard gain. Why? Why? I don't understand it. We're throwing this. We checked to the slant again. Why? I don't know. The holes up the middle were good. So, none of that's going to happen. And that's where I think you're going to have a different attitude of your football team this year. That's what it's going to be a little bit more like, hey, no, there's no checks out of this play. We're running 96 power king, and I don't give a damn what defense they're in. That's what we're running, and we're going to be good at every defense we face and know how to block it. And that's how attitude starts, right? How did anybody in the old days ever run the football without the RPO or the read option? I mean, how did they do it? I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's right now you can't. I don't know. Philadelphia, right? Look at them. Philadelphia has 3 run plays. They have 10 plays on their offense, but they just go, you, we're better than you. We're going to dominate you. Deal with it, and we're going to execute it. So sorry for the bad word.
No, it's fine.
But we're Jets. The Jets know those words, right?
We anticipate this stuff from him.
Good.
You're unbelievable.
Does my brother swear like that?
If he does, he keeps that internal. Okay. All right. So what changes for a quarterback if you're going to be playing more under center?
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of systems nowadays where, hey, these guys are living in the gun. Detroit did not live in the gun.
No, none of the good teams are living in the gun really, except the 49ers going to the Super Bowl, what they did, right?
Yeah.
You see, I think Sean Payton, he wants to be underneath.
Right.
The big thing is, running the ball first off is a big thing right now in the NFL, and I think it'll continue to be popular, and I think you're going to continue to see offensive line coaches be dangled out there for OC because they know how to marry together the play action pass and the passing game together and the run game and all that together. But what I think what it does in so many ways, we talk about attitude running the football, okay, but then off of that, the number one way to get big plays in offensive football right now is the play action pass game. And those are the teams that are thriving. So you couple that with the state of, I have this conversation with some of my NFL friends sometimes, is college kids aren't taught how to tackle anymore. There's all these rules even in college about pads and how much hours. Then there's all these rules in the NFL about how many times you can put on pads. And tackling's a little bit of a lost art in the NFL right now. So I think a little bit offensive coaches have gone, man, good running back, physical, running the ball. Actually, we can get 5 and 6 yards a lot more consistently than I thought we could maybe back in the old days. And that's where the game has changed. And I think that's where you're going to see more, hey, Breece Hall up the middle. Ooh, cool design run, Breece Hall up the middle. Oh, it looks like it's that again. Oh, he kept it. Oh, no, there goes Garrett Wilson down the middle of the field on a 25-yard crosser like you might see Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he's running and making big plays. And I think that's what you're going to see more from this offense, a more down-the-field attacking passing game to go along with power running football. And that, to me, is the hardest thing to guard in football because now you make a defense defend every square inch of the field.
I'm glad you mentioned Breece Hall.
Yeah.
What is his potential? Well, we've seen him a couple of years in the National Football League. Last year, unfortunately, the team was not able to run the football.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's got superstar talent. I only see, I think, one thing about Breece Hall that I could really go, I think he needs to get better. It's tough running.
Okay.
It's tough running, right? There's nothing there. Put your head down and get 2 or 3. Smash it in there, right? You see those guys up in Detroit. There's no dancing. It's like, hey, we called the play. We believe the hole's right here. We're going to teach you how to read it. right? Fly up in there and go. That's, to me, what I would love to see out of Breece Hall. It's just a little bit more of a sledgehammer attack from time to time.
I get a sense from Aaron Glenn speaking to him yesterday that there's going to be an emphasis on speed here.
Yeah.
You saw that in Detroit.
Yes.
You saw how effective they were in Detroit with that as far as the big plays. So you don't have to matriculate the ball down the field.
Too hard. 12 plays, 75-yard drives. It's too hard in the NFL. Unless you have Mahomes or somebody like that, okay, cool. That's so that he can do it.
Yeah.
Right? But even for them, that's why they're underwhelming. They can't ever take the pressure off because they can never make a big play. That's where, again, I love this offense, the way they play. They can get big plays in the run game, pass game. They're not afraid to run some trick plays and do that as well. Yeah. And those are advantages that are needed. You look at the best offenses and most explosive offenses in football, you need a few drives every game where you can throw a slant to a guy and he runs for 60 yards. Or we can just pull two linemen and we can break a run for 40 or 50 yards. And I think you're going to see more of that from your football team this year.
How do you think these guys should attack the quarterback position?
Yeah, I know. This is the million-dollar question. And I don't know if I've wrapped my head around this whole thing yet, right? I'm in infancy stages of evaluating these quarterbacks as far as this draft right now. I've only watched just a little bit just to have a feel for them to talk about it here. So I'm nowhere near ready to rank or say that.
You're going to cause some hell whenever you release those rankings,
like
you do every year.
I usually do.
Yeah.
I usually do. I mean, we all know Cam and Shedeur Sanders kind of stand above the rest. I do like Cam, just off the little I've seen. I would say I'd favor him right now. Right? He makes me say wow more than everybody else. He's bigger than people realize. His the ball pops out of his hand. So all of that stuff I like. Yeah, he's a little raw. So is Shedeur. I like a lot about Shedeur too, but I mean, I don't think the team is that far off, right? I mean, I really don't. The defense, that's what I'm excited about.
Yep.
The defense now with schematical advantages instead of just this is what we do, we're going to play this all game long, right? That was my complaint about the Jets the last year. Their defense is too good that we don't ever create turnovers or plays. That's because every quarterback goes, oh, it's this defense? Okay, I'm comfortable with that. It might be hard to get a big play, but I'm comfortable with that defense. Nothing's tricking me, right? What turnovers happen because you get tricked. Like, oh crap, this blitz came. Oh no, let me throw. Oh no, I didn't see him there. Yeah. Or wait, they dropped out and they're in a different coverage. Wait, where the hell do I gotta look? Oh, I threw it. I didn't see him there. Interception, right? That's what the good defenses do in football. That's, to me, where the Jets, with the talent they have on the defensive side of the ball, have not won enough games with their defense. I could go through other marquee defenses in football and go, look at how many plays they make and things they make and make happen and all of that. And that's why I'm pumped to see Aaron Glenn with this talent he has there.
Do you like the match of Glenn and Wilks? Because they both come from the philosophy of we ain't sitting back on defense. We're coming at you.
Definitely. I do. And I like Steve Wilks. I know it didn't end perfectly with San Francisco, and it was a little bit of a weird situation. He was trying to learn their system instead of him being able to run his defense. And that's not always easy for a head coach to go, wait, I got to do what you want me to do, but I have this trick and that trick that I'd like to do right now. And they're like, no, this is the defense we run. Right. So I think he was a little handcuffed that way. I think he's great because he's got head coaching experience, been around the league forever. He can get in Aaron Glenn's ear every now and then and go, hey, look out for this week, or I hear players in the locker room or on the defensive side talking about this, and he'll be able to help them out a little bit. He'll help Aaron Glenn out, let alone he's going to add to Aaron Glenn's defense. Yeah. And Aaron Glenn also, too, when he's a head coach, as you know, you get in there, I'm a defensive head coach, I want to work on the defense today, and all of a sudden the offensive coordinator comes in and says, hey, receiver blah, blah, blah is having a problem. Hey, this guy's sick today. Hey, and then all of a sudden you go, damn, I can't even coach defense. So the fact that he has Steve Wilks to go, hey, get me through this hour while I got to deal with some bull over here, right? Please help me with that. That's a great advantage to have, too.
That first news conference, AG comes in and he says, I'm not going to be calling the plays.
Yeah.
I'm not calling the plays defensively.
I don't love that.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I don't love that.
Why?
Well, he got there because he was calling the plays on defense. Right. That's why he got the job. I'm a little bit of a believer in that. Until you prove me wrong, all right? So he's got to – but I say that all the time. I've said this about Brian Daboll with the Giants. Yeah. I go, you got the job because everyone was going, damn, you call a great game on offense. And then you get your head coaching job and go, I don't want to do what got me the job anymore. Somebody else do it, even though you're not as good as me. That doesn't make sense, right?
But he's not
Wilks is damn good.
Yes.
Wilks is damn good, so that evens it out a little bit here. But I still, in my perfect world, and I might be wrong, and I'll come on and tell you I was wrong, right?
Well,
I still look at it and go, man, I wish Aaron Glenn would call the defense, and then he could just lean on Steve Wilks, maybe other than the other way around. And maybe that'll happen once he just gets his, his bearings straight and gets used to being a head coach and all the things that you got to deal with being a head coach.
I like him looking at the entire operation. And,
There's nothing wrong with that.
And also, he's on the same wavelength with Wilks.
I think so,
you
too.
can see how pumped
he
was to get him in the building.
I got you. And listen, I want to make it clear. I'm not, my dad played for a coach at Bill Parcells who was that guy.
Yep.
I mean, that's probably why Aaron Gren's looking at it. He's going, wait, I got coached by Bill Parcells. Yep. And he didn't do X's and O's. He just walked to the defensive meeting room and said, no, you can't do that. We got to double this guy. You're going to call that defense against this team? You're crazy. And I know my dad's told me stories. He'd go in, they're playing the Eagles and Reggie White. He'd go in and go, what? We can't do this, that, this. We'll turn the ball over 45 times. How about this play, this play, this play? I like that. Yeah. That's what a really good head coach could do, and hopefully Aaron Glenn can do that.
Tyrod Taylor has a lot of experience in the National Football League. He's been a bridge before at multiple stops. How do you approach free agency if you're the Jets at quarterback? Are you looking to add somebody else in your building?
I think so. I mean, they got to figure out, draft-wise, what they want to do. And Tyrod Taylor, I like him.
Yep.
He's a really good backup quarterback to have. I wouldn't want him to be my starter. I don't trust him to be in there for a long period of time, right? I mean, as you know, anywhere Tyrod Taylor goes, gets hurt kind of pretty quick. He's not the biggest guy in the world. But I would have no problem him coming back to be a backup if they decide to go the young route.
Right.
Or even if they decide to not go the young route and they decided – let's just throw a for instance out there. I don't know, Kirk Cousins or something like that, right? Would I be mad that Tyrod Taylor's the backup to anybody like that? No, not at all.
Where do you land on Justin Fields if his contract does indeed expire and he reaches the negotiating window on March 10th?
Yeah, I like Justin Fields, but I don't know if I feel like I'd want to make him the guy for my organization, right? Again, that'd be another one where maybe – if you wanted to draft a guy and him be your bridge guy and maybe he can find a way to be the next Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield and then go on somewhere else and do that. But there's just still questions about Justin Fields and throwing the football at a consistently high level. That's what would worry me, right? He's tough. He's arguably the best running quarterback in football when he gets out there and takes off. I mean, he's special that way. But just like we saw in Chicago and we saw it in Pittsburgh last year, the ball doesn't always go where he wants it to when it leaves his hand, and that scares me a little.
One thing that it stands out to me about him, and I'm not making an argument for Fields here, is he protected a football.
I got you there.
Yeah.
If there's an angle you could go, hey, we could run the ball.
Yes.
He can run the ball.
Right.
We can play a physical brand that way, get people to creep up to the line of scrimmage, fake some of that stuff. Boom, there goes Garrett Wilson over the top. I hear you. There's
and that's why
the
people listening and watching this right now, Jets fans, are like, hey, he's also played collegiately with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I hear you there. I hear you there. But I won't lie in that if they signed him to be the starter, I wouldn't be the most excited guy in the world.
I will tell you this. People in that locker room love Tyrod Taylor.
He's every locker room he's ever been in, he's loved. My brother loves Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor's, I know,
unbelievable.
He probably
teammate.
doesn't like me because I've said some of the things I've said before, but I got a lot of respect for Tyrod Taylor and the way he approaches the game, that's for sure.
All right, speaking of approaches, how do you actually go about studying the college quarterbacks? What are you looking for? Because it's a different game that they're playing than in the National Football League. So when we finally get your rankings out and people start coming after you, what's your process?
Well, I mean, one is talent, right? You got to have talent. It's plain and simple. The greatest quarterbacks of all time all have superior talent. So I look at that right away. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is and was who he was because it's one of the greatest arms in the history of football, if not the greatest in his prime, the quickest release ever, and then top 3 accuracy all time. And then, he's a gunslinger that takes care of the ball better than anybody ever, right?
Crazy.
Right? But that's the first thing, right? I'm a talent guy. Then I want to go through it and don't look at stats. Don't look at the offense and blame the quarterback for the offense. Like you heard me talking to somebody a minute ago about Bo Nix. Last year, everybody was telling me Bo Nix. So I was going, what? He's not calling these plays. He's just the quarterback of a college football team. You got to decipher through the BS sometimes and start to go, okay, wait, screen, okay, good screen. Oh, wait, but here's a deep throw. Oh, damn, it's on the money. Oh, laser, okay. All right, he didn't do it that many times this game, but I saw, okay, there was an inkling. He can do it. And you got to work through that, right? You got to work through first of, like, what is he responsible for out there? Oh, wait, there was nobody open, but they still got a 20-yard gain because he made an unbelievable throw. What? That gets like a double plus, right? Right? Oh, there are people open, and, he checked it down for a 5-yard gain? That's a negative for me. Like, but everybody else at grading sites, positive, you got a completion. I'm going, well, there's somebody open for a touchdown 25 yards down the middle. Yeah. But we're getting a positive grade because we checked it down, right? So, accuracy, talent, size, of course, ability to move and move the pocket. But to me, what I always just say is decipher through the bull, right? That's kind of where I think I've been fortunate or been like, it's been great that I've been taught by my dad and all these quarterback people all the time is I've been taught to look through that. And that's where I came out with, I know Mahomes was 4-7 at Texas Tech, but I watched every throw. He's the best quarterback in football. He should be the #1 pick in the draft. Like, there's not should be a doubt. Oh, but he's not a winner. I didn't know he had to carry the whole team now. What about this game? Oh, I watched that game when he was – you mean the TCU game where nobody was open ever the whole game and he was under pressure? Oh, is he Superman or is he a human? I don't know. And that's where people got to get through some of that stuff, right?
Does
a
dude
long
have
answer.
to have certain qualities to play up in the Northeast? When you're talking about December, January, MetLife Stadium, Meadowlands.
Yes. Now, it's not maybe as much as it used to be because of global warming, right? I have this conversation with my dad a lot because he's like, Christopher, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem like it's ever as windy or as cold as what I go, Dad, it's global warming. Like, it's real.
Card this morning. You're going to take this as a global warming.
I know. It's not a myth, though, Dad. Like, when it's 75 in December, there's something wrong, right? But either way, no, I do think you have to take that into account. It's still a factor. We know how windy it can be up there, right? Phil Simms, Tom Brady, right? Eli Manning, big guys, big hands, can control the ball in the elements is crucial up there. And especially if you want to throw the ball down the field, right, and be explosive, which I think this offense wants to do, you better have that guy that you can't go, oh, man, it's 15-mile-per-hour winds today. We can't do half of our plays today.
Right.
Oh, no. That can't be the case. You want to have a guy like Josh Allen up in Buffalo. We can throw it right through it, no problem. So I do think you got to take that into account.
All right, so speaking of cases,
yeah.
We got a game here. State your case.
Okay.
So do you want to do pro free agency or draft or both? I got the pro free agency potential guys.
And you're just
going
to pick a guy, and I'm going to state my case to
why it would make sense for the Jets.
Okay.
You pick a guy.
Well, I'm not that deep into the draft yet.
Okay, so you want to do pro free agents?
I think so. I mean, the draft,
right.
If you want to keep me to the quarterbacks a little and some of the pass rushers.
I might cheat with the quarterbacks
okay.
here, but do a pro free agent.
Okay, you want me to pick this one off the top? Are you
no?
Are you giving me like the old handmaid or what's on the handmaid's Old Maid? Remember Old Maid? Do you remember that game?
Nope.
Nope.
What do you think?
Jawan Johnson?
Yeah, do you
want to do another one?
Okay.
Yeah, that's not that sexy. We can come up with sexier.
He's kind of cheating
bad.
here on state your case.
All right, here we go. State your case.
All right, go for it. Do you like that one or no?
We'll go Gesicki.
Here.
Let's go Gesicki.
All right, fine. Tight end.
Gesicki is, I think, a top-tier pass-catching tight end. You're going to get nothing from him in the run game, really. That's not what he's about.
Okay.
But with a guy like Gesicki, one, hey, size is a skill, right? Size is a skill. It definitely is. People like they forget about that. The big quarterback, Josh Allen, can stand in the pocket because he's so big and people are grabbing him and all that, and he can still throw it. Why? Because of his size and his strength. Mm-hmm. You do that to Kyler Murray, he's on the ground, period. So size is a skill. Gesicki is a pass-catching guy, right? Even when he's covered, he's not covered because he's so long and rangy and he can do some of that. So that's where I like his game, let alone for a tight end who's big and long like he is. When he catches the ball, he can go after it and make some plays happen that way. You're trying to think. I don't know if you right. There's nobody on the roster that's real big over the middle target right
Tyler
now.
Conklin's gonna
Tyler Conklin
expiring contract right now.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah, so that would be my case for him if you wanted him. It's going to be more pass game oriented than run game though, and I don't know if that fits the mold of what the Jets are.
I'm not going to tell anybody at home this.
Yeah.
Or maybe I will. I'm just going to pick this college guy for
Okay,
you.
cool.
This is a draft pick.
Okay, yeah, Cam Ward. Okay, state my case. He's got elite talent. It's a natural thrower, right? I mean, he's a guy that I just go, he can pick up any object and you go, he can throw it good. I don't have any doubt about that. The power in his arm is real. Like another guy can spin it and throw it through a wind at the Meadowlands, right? Not a problem. The ability, as we know, so important in the NFL to make some plays off schedule. The defenses are too good. The damn defensive linemen are way better than the offensive linemen. So there's always pressure. I got to move. Oh, do that. He's going to be able to do that. Not that I've done the deep dive yet, right? I don't have a problem with his decision-making. I've heard this already from some people. Oh, it's raw. I don't know if it's his decision-making or he's just a little greedy at times, right? He might see a guy over here and go, hey, the 5-yard throw is open, but I think he gets bored with it sometimes. He's like, man, screw that. I know I got another guy going deep. And then it's like, oh, well, he's not open. And then it's like, oh, crap, and then he's got to run around and do some crazy crap. And then Caleb Williams had a little of that, and that's where NFL coaching will have to kind of rein him in, right? But damn, I don't know. I've had a lot of people tell me he's raw. I don't know if he's a first-round talent, and he wouldn't be in the same stratosphere as the guys last year. And I want to just, even in my early stages, just want to throw a challenge flag and be like, are you freaking kidding me? He wouldn't even be in the conversation with him? The guy that, could have won the Heisman this year and was throwing lasers and was like the number one must-see TV guy in college football a lot of weeks. Like, that's my case for Cam Ward.
All right.
You like that case?
I do like that
Court's
case.
adjourned.
You did a nice job, even though we can't stand you. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. The feeling's mutual.
The Official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Shop game day ready jewelry styles and so much more at kendrascott.com.
Rap, good to see you. What's the life like of an NFL insider during the NFL Combine?
I think there's a couple different stages. Today, tomorrow, and then probably the early part of Thursday is a lot of this. It's a lot of talking to people. It's a lot of tracking down GMs and head coaches and coordinators and kind of feeling them out and picking their brain. And I don't know that there's like a ton of news here.
Yeah.
There's some. It's like, some franchise tag stuff every once in a while or whatever. But, like, really it's kind of like conversations that set the table for what's going to happen for the next 3 weeks to a month. So that's kind of what this is. It's waiting on the podiums. It's grabbing guys off the podium. It's having conversations. All of those things go on. And then, once the drills start, then I think everyone focuses on the drills and kind of hones in on who these prospects are, how they're doing, and why they're important.
New leadership team here with the Jets. Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji. What have your initial impressions been?
I would say, obviously the biggest thing they've done was move on from Aaron Rodgers. And, I think the way that happened was interesting, right? I mean, there are plenty of quarterback situations around the league that are floating in the ether, that are sort of quarterback needy. You have teams that have replaced quarterbacks and still have them on the roster, like the Falcons. There's a lot. What the Jets did was a clean break.
Yeah.
Was a, strong, decisive move on. You could argue whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing. I would say to me, if you discount maybe one or maybe 2 games at the end of the season where Rodgers played pretty well, this seems like the obvious choice. This felt always like maybe a 2-year proposition for the Jets, and to have a new regime, to not be saddled with all the Rodgers stuff, it's easier to move on. It's a little scary because you don't have one, But I think it was pretty clear they were ready to move on, and the way they did it was sort of noted,
So what does the road look like for them as we move ahead with Tyrod Taylor in the building? Jordan Travis was a rookie last year. Devastating injury at Florida State, was on an NFI list. And then you have Adrian Martinez. Now people are looking at free agency and the Jets draft position at number 7 overall.
Well, I mean, I think what it does now is say you're probably going to add 1. You might add 2. And it's all out there. It's all the options are open. It's staying there and taking a quarterback. Maybe they take a QB3. Maybe they take Jackson Dart. Maybe they take Quinn Ewers. Maybe they take Riley Leonard. They could move up. Certainly they have the draft capital for that. If you are, sure that the franchise quarterback is there, you can move up for 1. If you say all right, this is the guy we have to move up. You could go with the sort of Kirk Cousins of the world and kick the can down the road a little bit and say, you know what, we're going to find our franchise guy. It's just not going to be this year. We're going to build elsewhere this year. I mean, there's a lot of options. And they might choose both of them.
Yeah.
They might take a quarterback high. They might sign a veteran. It's all out there, I would say, for the Jets at quarterback.
A lot of Jets fans have been inquiring about Justin Fields. What do you think the market's going to look like for him come March 10th?
Well, I mean, I'm interested in what the Steelers decide to do because, now, obviously, he's a free agent, so he could decide too. But, I think it was pretty clear that they would like to bring back one of their quarterbacks from last year.
Do you think it's likely it gets done before March 10th? One of those two?
I think it's likely it gets done around March 10th.
Okay.
Rarely do you have deals happen before free agency. Usually they happen in that, first day, the tampering window where his agent could be like, this is where we're at. Is anybody going to come here? What's really the market like? So I think we'll know early. I just don't know that we'll know, before March 10th because, as you know, rarely do free agent deals get done before free agency actually opens.
Globally, what does this free agency class look like, maybe compared to recent years? Because the Jets, Darren Muji said, hey, I'm comfortable where we are from a cap perspective. The Jets, not unlike most teams out there, they got close to 30 free agents in all, so a lot of internal decisions have to be made before they scour the market and then see what they can do out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's is it the most star-studded free agent class? I'd say probably not. Usually, the guys, when people compile all these lists, like Greg Rosenthal's 101 top free agent list on NFL.com, I mean, there are guys up at the top 10, like Josh Sweat, for instance, who most years would be, around the middle. Not a very top-heavy. You have some sort of heavy hitters or whatever, like Sam Darnold, who's going to make a lot of money. But guys like Josh Sweat on their third deal who had, some sacks but not a monstrous year, it's odd that those guys are the top guys. But if you go to 25 to 75, get some real good players. So it's probably, more depth in free agency than past, but maybe not as top-heavy.
So after the free agency, you got the draft. The Jets sitting there with the 7th overall selection. Then they come back with the 42nd selection. What do you think about where their spot is right now in the first round?
I think it's a good spot. I mean, if you're going to take a quarterback, you can get around to where QB3 is. Maybe you move up a little bit. Maybe you could try to slide back a little bit. We'll know more as we get closer. I think it's a totally fine spot. If you're not going to take a quarterback, I think it's pretty good because you'll get at least 2 in front of you, maybe 3. And then it's believe they got a franchise left tackle last year.
Yeah.
So then it's well, if someone takes the LSU tackle, cool. You weren't going to take him anyway, no big deal. And maybe take a top defensive player. Whatever it ends up being, you are in reach of an elite player. And so I think that's a pretty good spot.
What do you think about the storyline of AG coming back here to the team that drafted him in 1994? Obviously, comes back as a scout in 2012, 2013. One of his primary mentors along the way, Bill Parcells. What do you think about this journey? I'm coming full circle.
Yeah, man. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And, I felt for a while that this was going to be Aaron Glenn's job. I mean, the first sort of tweet I had about it when I think it was the morning when he was going to visit, where I was basically this is the Jets guy. I think they would like to not let him out of the building. They ended up letting him out, but then getting it done the next day. In that tweet was basically this is a guy that all of the Jets legends are rallying around. And that was real, man. It was unbelievable how excited everybody was. And, it's a cool story. It really is a cool story. A player who was drafted here, who worked here, who was a scout, who was all the things, coming back to the organization. That is awesome. But to me, it's so much more than that because he's ready to be a head coach. He was one of the best leaders as far as coordinators in the NFL. He was the extension, I think Ben Johnson is going to do a great job. Great play caller. But Aaron Glenn was really the guy who was like the extension of Dan Campbell on the staff. He was sort of the leader. So, I mean, that's, I felt for a while that Aaron Glenn was ready to be head coach. I felt when he was going to be a head coach, he'd be really good. And just, I'm happy for him that ends up being with the Jets, which, I think you guys probably know, like, this is where he wanted to be.
Oh, yeah. How much will that most recent experience in Denver where they flipped that thing from 3-13-1 to a 15-2 team?
Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, help him as he starts here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's there's a lot of lessons to take, First of all, I mean, I remember when, Dan Campbell was like 1-7 and everybody wanted to run him out of there.
Yep.
And they're like, our culture is good. Like, wins will come. And I think, setting the foundation for, like, what do we want our players to play like? What do we want them to act like? Like, what do we watch for? Like, how much do they like football? Like, it takes a while. And I think, I'm sure it'll annoy fans if it takes a year or more. You sort of see what's happened in Detroit. Like, if you build it the right way, like, this thing will be around for a while. And, I would say too often the Jets have sort of grasped at quick fixes. Obviously, the most recent regime did. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. I think it might take a minute. But, if you do it right, you can build it in a lasting way.
Money talks in free agency, but how appealing is a guy like Glenn to players out there? If the money is comparable, the way he talks to players, the way he connects, he can tell them, I've been in your shoes. I was a first-round pick. I played in the game 15 years. I worked my way up from an assistant coach. I was a scout.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's meaningful. I don't know that that's going to make the difference on any big-time free agent because, like, if you're going for $15 million and another team's offering you 13, like you usually players generally go for the most money.
Yeah.
But as you get later and as things slow down, that's kind of when I think it'll make a difference, because then it's you're not talking 15 million, you're talking like 3 or 4, and teams are generally around the same price, and then it's like, can you sell it? And like as you probably know, like if you listen to him, like it can be pretty fun, it can be pretty exciting. He does a great job of making you feel like what he's telling you is like the most important thing. And I do think that will resonate with free agents.
What was the reaction around the league to the recent salary cap projections for 2025?
It's probably a little higher than some thought. But again, like it's not a, super star-studded free agency. So I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference. Like what it might do is, cause some teams to do some extensions early, like the Bills locked up Khalil Shakir earlier today. More like just spend the money in other ways, whereas maybe the free agent class doesn't warrant it quite as much.
End of the week here, what are you going to be most looking forward to? What are we going to find out here in Indianapolis this week?
I'd like to find out, who's QB3 in the draft.
Yep.
I'd like to find out where these quarterbacks are going and where do the dominoes go. I mean, there's, as always, the world revolves around quarterback news, and, hope to get some this week. 6
quarterbacks, top 12 picks last year. We're not going to see a repeat of that. Do you think
no,
of that?
I don't
think
so.
Of that day next April, we're going to have 3 in the first round now?
Oh, yeah, 3 in the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll get 3. I think we'll get 3, maybe 4, maybe more. And that's what happens is, like, you get to know these guys and you fall in love with them, and they really do sort of rise. You know what I mean?
Rap sheet. Appreciate it as always, man.
All right. Good being on with you, man. Take care.